Collarbone, the long, curved bone that connects the arm to the body, also known as the clavicle.
Example 1. He broke his collarbone during the bike race.
Example 2. The collarbone connects the arm to the body.
Shoulder blade, the large flat bone at the back of the shoulder, also known as the scapula.
Example 1. The athlete stretched his shoulder blade before the game.
Example 2. The shoulder blade is located on the back of the body.
Navel, the small round scar in the middle of the abdomen, marking where the umbilical cord was attached.
Example 1. He had a small piercing in his navel.
Example 2. The navel marks the spot where the umbilical cord was cut at birth.
Buttock, the fleshy part of the body that forms the back of the hips, also known as the glutes.
Example 1. Sitting for too long can make the buttocks sore.
Example 2. The buttocks are made up of muscles known as the gluteal muscles.
Groin, the area between the abdomen and the thigh on either side of the body.
Example 1. He felt pain in his groin after the exercise.
Example 2. He pulled a muscle in his groin while running.
Pelvis, the bony structure near the base of the spine to which the legs are attached.
Example 1. The pelvis supports the spinal column and legs.
Example 2. The pelvis is wider in females to allow for childbirth.
Armpit, the hollow under the arm at the shoulder, commonly referred to as the underarm.
Example 1. She applied deodorant to her armpits.
Example 2. The armpit is a common area for sweating.
Breast, the mammary gland on the chest, especially in women, used to produce milk.
Example 1. Breast cancer screenings are important for early detection.
Example 2. The breast is composed of fatty tissue and mammary glands.
Nipple, the small raised part on the breast through which milk is delivered to infants.
Example 1. The baby fed from the mother's nipple.
Example 2. Nipples can become sore during breastfeeding.
Knuckle, the joints between the fingers and the hand where the bones meet.
Example 1. He cracked his knuckles out of habit.
Example 2. Boxers often injure their knuckles.
Fist, the hand when the fingers are bent inwards tightly.
Example 1. He clenched his fist in anger.
Example 2. He formed a fist to throw a punch.
Biceps, the muscle on the front of the upper arm that flexes the forearm.
Example 1. She flexed her biceps to show her strength.
Example 2. Biceps curls are a popular exercise for arm strength.
Triceps, the muscle on the back of the upper arm responsible for extending the forearm.
Example 1. He did exercises to build his triceps.
Example 2. Push-ups are effective for strengthening triceps.
Forearm, the part of the arm between the elbow and the wrist.
Example 1. She injured her forearm during the match.
Example 2. The forearm includes the radius and ulna bones.
Humerus, the long bone in the upper arm, extending from the shoulder to the elbow.
Example 1. The humerus connects the shoulder to the elbow.
Example 2. He fractured his humerus in a fall.
Radius, the lateral bone of the forearm, extending from the elbow to the wrist on the thumb side.
Example 1. A fracture in the radius can limit wrist movement.
Example 2. The radius is one of the two bones in the forearm.
Ulna, the medial bone of the forearm, extending from the elbow to the wrist, on the side opposite the thumb.
Example 1. The ulna is crucial for arm stability.
Example 2. The ulna runs parallel to the radius in the forearm.
Femur, the longest and strongest bone in the human body, located in the thigh.
Example 1. The femur is vital for supporting body weight.
Example 2. A broken femur is a serious injury.
Patella, kneecap, the small bone in front of the knee joint, commonly known as the kneecap.
Example 1. The patella protects the knee joint.
Example 2. The patella helps to protect the knee joint.
Fibula, the outer and thinner of the two bones in the lower leg, extending from the knee to the ankle.
Example 1. The fibula is more fragile than the tibia.
Example 2. The fibula is located on the outside of the leg.
Tibia, the larger and stronger of the two bones in the lower leg, supporting the weight of the body.
Example 1. The tibia is the main weight-bearing bone in the lower leg.
Example 2. The tibia is also known as the shin bone.
Metatarsal, the long bones in the foot that connect the ankle to the toes.
Example 1. She felt pain in her metatarsals after the hike.
Example 2. Metatarsal injuries are common in runners.
Phalanges, the bones that make up the fingers and toes.
Example 1. The phalanges allow for finger and toe movement.
Example 2. The phalanges are crucial for gripping and walking.
Scapula, the flat, triangular bone located at the back of the shoulder, also known as the shoulder blade.
Example 1. The scapula helps with arm movement.
Example 2. The scapula is connected to the clavicle and humerus.
Clavicle, the long curved bone that runs from the shoulder to the sternum, also known as the collarbone.
Example 1. He fractured his clavicle in a biking accident.
Example 2. The clavicle is often broken in sports injuries.
Mandible, the lower jawbone, the largest and strongest bone of the face.
Example 1. The mandible is involved in chewing.
Example 2. The mandible is the only movable bone in the skull.
Maxilla, the upper jawbone, which holds the upper teeth and forms part of the eye sockets and nose.
Example 1. The maxilla forms the upper part of the jaw.
Example 2. The maxilla plays a key role in facial structure.
Orbital cavity, the bony cavity containing the eyeball, also known as the eye socket.
Example 1. The orbital cavity protects the eye.
Example 2. The orbital cavity is part of the skull.
Sinus, the hollow cavities within the skull, connected to the nasal passages, often prone to infection.
Example 1. She has frequent sinus infections.
Example 2. Sinus problems can cause headaches and congestion.
Trachea, the tube that carries air from the larynx to the lungs, also known as the windpipe.
Example 1. The trachea is vital for breathing.
Example 2. The trachea splits into two bronchi leading to the lungs.
Esophagus, the tube that carries food and liquids from the throat to the stomach.
Example 1. Food passes through the esophagus to the stomach.
Example 2. The esophagus is located behind the trachea.
Diaphragm, the muscular partition separating the chest cavity from the abdominal cavity, playing a major role in breathing.
Example 1. The diaphragm contracts and flattens during inhalation.
Example 2. The diaphragm is the primary muscle used in breathing.
Abdomen, the part of the body between the chest and the pelvis, containing the stomach, intestines, and other organs.
Example 1. He had a pain in his abdomen after eating.
Example 2. The surgeon made an incision in the abdomen.
Bladder, a hollow organ in the lower abdomen that stores urine from the kidneys.
Example 1. The bladder stores urine until it is ready to be excreted.
Example 2. A full bladder can cause discomfort.
Spleen, an organ that filters and stores blood and helps fight infection.
Example 1. The spleen helps filter out old blood cells.
Example 2. A ruptured spleen can be life-threatening.
Pancreas, a large gland behind the stomach that helps with digestion and blood sugar regulation.
Example 1. The pancreas plays a key role in regulating blood sugar.
Example 2. Diabetes affects the function of the pancreas.
Gallbladder, a small organ under the liver that stores bile produced by the liver.
Example 1. The gallbladder stores bile to aid in digestion.
Example 2. The gallbladder can develop painful stones.
Appendix, a small tube-like organ attached to the large intestine, often removed surgically.
Example 1. She had her appendix removed due to appendicitis.
Example 2. Appendicitis often requires surgery to remove the appendix.
Colon, the large intestine, responsible for absorbing water and electrolytes from digested food.
Example 1. The colon absorbs water from digested food.
Example 2. Colon cancer is a serious health concern.
Rectum, the final section of the large intestine, ending at the anus.
Example 1. The rectum stores feces until they are expelled.
Example 2. Rectal exams are important for detecting certain cancers.
Intestine, the digestive tube extending from the stomach to the anus, including the small and large intestines.
Example 1. The intestine is divided into small and large sections.
Example 2. The intestine absorbs nutrients from food.
Esophagus, the muscular tube that carries food and liquids from the throat to the stomach.
Example 1. The esophagus transports food from the mouth to the stomach.
Example 2. Acid reflux occurs when stomach acid moves back into the esophagus.
Uterus, the organ in the female body where a fetus develops during pregnancy.
Example 1. The uterus is where a baby develops during pregnancy.
Example 2. The uterus is essential for reproductive health.
Ovary, a female reproductive organ that produces eggs and hormones.
Example 1. The ovary releases an egg during ovulation.
Example 2. Ovarian cysts can cause pain and discomfort.
Prostate, a male reproductive gland that produces semen.
Example 1. The prostate can become enlarged as men age.
Example 2. Prostate exams are important for men's health.
Penis, the male genital organ that carries the duct for the transfer of sperm during copulation.
Example 1. The penis is involved in both urination and sexual function.
Example 2. The penis is made up of several parts, including the shaft and glands.
Vagina, the muscular tube leading from the external genitals to the cervix of the uterus in women.
Example 1. The vagina is part of the female reproductive system.
Example 2. The vagina is part of the birth canal.
Scrotum, the pouch of skin containing the testicles in males.
Example 1. The scrotum protects the testicles.
Example 2. The scrotum helps regulate the temperature of the testicles.
Testicle, the male reproductive gland that produces sperm and hormones.
Example 1. The testicle produces sperm and testosterone.
Example 2. Testicular cancer is most common in younger men.
Cervix, the lower narrow part of the uterus that connects to the vagina.
Example 1. The cervix dilates during childbirth.
Example 2. Cervical cancer can be detected with a pap smear.
Fallopian tube, the tubes that carry eggs from the ovaries to the uterus in females.
Example 1. The fallopian tube is where fertilization often occurs.
Example 2. An egg travels through the fallopian tube after ovulation.
Placenta, an organ in the uterus of pregnant women that nourishes and maintains the fetus.
Example 1. The placenta provides nutrients to the developing fetus.
Example 2. The placenta is expelled after childbirth.
Umbilical cord, the flexible cord that connects the fetus to the placenta during pregnancy.
Example 1. The umbilical cord connects the fetus to the mother.
Example 2. The umbilical cord is cut after birth.
Tonsil, two small masses of lymphoid tissue in the throat that help protect the body from infection.
Example 1. Tonsils can become swollen during an infection.
Example 2. Tonsillectomy is the surgical removal of the tonsils.
Aorta, the largest artery in the body, carrying blood from the heart to the rest of the body.
Example 1. The aorta is the main artery that carries blood from the heart.
Example 2. Aortic aneurysms are serious and require medical attention.
Atrium, the upper chambers of the heart that receive blood from the veins.
Example 1. Blood enters the heart through the atrium.
Example 2. The right atrium receives deoxygenated blood from the body.
Ventricle, the lower chambers of the heart that pump blood to the lungs and the rest of the body.
Example 1. The ventricle pumps blood out of the heart.
Example 2. The left ventricle pumps oxygenated blood to the body.
Coronary artery, an artery supplying blood to the heart.
Example 1. A blockage in the coronary artery can cause a heart attack.
Example 2. Healthy coronary arteries are essential for heart function.
Cartilage, a firm, flexible connective tissue that cushions joints and supports soft tissues.
Example 1. Cartilage cushions the joints and protects bones.
Example 2. Damaged cartilage can lead to joint pain.
Tendon, a fibrous tissue that connects muscle to bone.
Example 1. The Achilles tendon connects the calf muscle to the heel bone.
Example 2. Tendon injuries are common in athletes.